6:31. We can get started. Looks like we got a quorum. Bob, you want to start us with roll call?
Bacon present.
Hunter present.
Zalid present.
Keekwam present.
Coin present.
Byers present. Fig present.
Sweet present.
Seeing we have a quorum tonight, let's proceed with the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion on that? How's that look?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Motion by Dave. Who supported that?
Marty.
Support by Rick Bars. To approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Didn't know if
opposed, the
there's
same.
time for discussion. I guess Robert's rules, do you do the motion then discussion, or do you do discussion before the motion?
Discussion after the
Okay.
first motion.
Okay. The only thing I wondered is if we should, under new business, put item B ahead of item A, because putting the cart before the horse, if we're gonna approve the Lincoln Road, but if it doesn't get approved, then the budget amendment would be different. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that was my only opinion. Or
I don't know. I'm okay with proceeding. Then if it happens, we'll go back to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So moving on to approval of the minutes from June 21st. How do those look?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Support.
Motion by Fig, support by Zalid. Hearing no comments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And minutes are approved. Moving on to agenda item number 5, presentations. Anything there? Nothing today. Move on to item 6, public comment. Mark?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Stuhldreher, Union Township Manager. I just want to take a minute to welcome you back to Township Hall after a couple of years. I think gone first with COVID and then at our neighbors down the way. Luxury, but it's good to see you all back. And then I also want to acknowledge all the hard work that this board's been doing over the last couple of years. It's you guys have been very busy and supportive of the board of trustees' policies and objectives, and that's noticed and appreciated. The update to your development plan, and you've just been, I pay attention to the agendas every month, and you guys are doing a lot of work, a lot of hard work and good work, and I just want on behalf of the township acknowledge that and thank you all. With that, have a good meeting and a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
It's good to be back.
Appreciate it.
Yes, it is good to be back.
And moving on to agenda item number 7, reports. 7A, accounts payable.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'll start out with the accounts payable for the East DDA. We issued a check to the Isabel County Treasurer for the, property purchase that you approved last month, at 2120 Knox Drive in Honeydew Lane. That check was issued for $5,106.31. And we made an electronic payment to Consumers Energy for the the electricity to the streetlights on Pickard. That was $512.80. And we have a check issued for your approval to B Green Lawn Services. That's for $2,789. That's for weed and feed for the Pickard Street corridor and some growth regulator on Pickard Road as well. And then we have a check issued to Charter Township of Union for the water to that irrigation system on Pickard. That's for, well, it says Q3, but that was actually supposed to be Q2. Sorry about that, everybody. That amount of that check is $8,880.83. And then we have a check issued to Donner Lawn Care for lawn mowing on Pickard in June. And that check is for $2,900. And we also have a check issued to MMI for $460 for grounds maintenance along Pickard around the park benches and the trash receptacles for June. And then we have a check issued to the city of Mount Pleasant for $500 from the East DDA. That's for a contribution to the airport for the airport car maintenance and operation that you approved last month. And the last check on the list is a check to Pleasant Time Herb Farm for $2,695.75, and that check is to water baskets and hang the baskets and weed around in the flowers and everything along Pickard. So we have accounts payable for the East DDA that totals $23,844.69. Are there any questions on any of that?
Is that a motion, Marty?
Sure. I'd like to move that we accept the payables as presented for the East DDA.
Support.
Motion by Fig, support by Sweet. Hearing no more questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Okay, so let's move on to the West DDA. We just had one check issued to the city of Mount Pleasant for $500 from the West DDA, and that was for the contribution to the airport car and maintenance. So total accounts payable there in the West DDA, $500.
Move to approve the West DDA check register as presented.
Support. Motion by Zalid, supported by Coin. Hearing no more comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And motion is approved.
Okay, let's move on to the revenue and expenditure report for the East DDA. I wanted to mention, I put a report in front of you tonight. There was a question last month about community promotion, the line item for community promotion in the East DDA. Why was that, the budget for that $10,000, while the community promotion for West DDA was $5,000? And you can see by this report that we've already paid the contributions to the Mount Pleasant Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, but we do still have in the budget $5,000 for the project to improve communication with East DDA business owners. So that should answer that question. $5,000 there in the budget earmarked for that project. So let's move on to the revenue and expenditure report for the East DDA. You can see that revenues now are budgeted to actual revenues are about 99%. So most of our revenues are posted. And if you look at total expenditures, we've got some ongoing projects that we don't have invoices for or that have been completed yet. So our total expenditures in the East DDA are at about 13.79% of budget. Are there any questions on any of the revenues or expenditures for the East DDA? Okay, I'll move on to the balance sheet for the East DDA. Just a quick overview of that. Total assets, mostly cash, but you'll notice that it does include a line item here, assets held for sale. That's the property that was just purchased that was on the accounts payable report for the 5,106. So your total cash is still about 1.9 million. So are there any questions on the balance sheet at all for the East DDA? Okay, let's move on to the revenue and expenditure report in the West DDA. You'll see that if you look at your revenues, your total revenues, compare budget to the actual, we're at about 111%. We need a little bit of, we need to amend our budget in that area. And then moving on to the expenditures for the West DDA. Looking at total expenditures, your budget to actual percentage is close to 10% there for the, as of the month of June. And then moving on to the balance sheet, your total assets, which fully consist of cash, is about 1.8 million. And are there any questions on anything for the East or West DDA in that area on the financials?
Maybe it's one slight bookkeeping question. On that property on Yates, if we spend $25,000, say tearing it down and disposing, was that just a revenue, would that just be a expenditure, or would that show up in our assets? Would that be added on to the assets held for sale value, or would that just be money that was expended?
I understand what you're saying. The accounting, I had to look into this. The accounting rules say, you know, we're gonna take whatever's spent and we're gonna put it in this line item. But then at some point, we have to evaluate what is the property worth. And so, you know, in the end, when it's all said and done, when it gets sold or when we determine what it's worth, we'll take the difference between those two. And, you know, if what was spent is higher than what it's worth, that will become an expenditure.
Okay.
Okay? So, I checked with the auditors on that just to be sure
Yeah,
we're
I just
doing it
wondered.
correctly, you know, and make sure we're doing it right. And that's what the accounting rules say, so that's what we'll do. But that's a very good question.
It is.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you.
So let's let the record show the financials were presented, received, and filed. On 7C, on your agenda, you'll see the board member matrix for your review. And moving on to agenda item number 8, new business. 8A, what do we have there?
Okay. So, just returning the request for board action here for the budget amendment. I'll just do a review of the budget amendment that we'd like you to approve tonight. So we have a budget amendment here for the 248 East DDA fund and the 250 West DDA fund. In the East DDA fund, in the revenue area where we want to increase the budget for current property tax revenue of $38,000. And we're also requesting to increase the budget for other revenue for $14,900. That $14,900 is for the insurance reimbursement that we received for a light pole on Pickard that was damaged in an accident. So we've got a total net revenue from all the adjustments that we're requesting is an increase of $52,900 for the East DDA fund. And then in the expenditure area, we're requesting an increased budget of $500 for that contribution to the airport car that you approved last month. And we'd like to increase the budget $475 for the rental of the Lincoln Reception Hall meeting room space for the first 6 months of the year. That wasn't in the original budget. And then we'd also like to increase the budget $48,000 for the EDA board's approved property purchase that we just spoke about at 2120 Yachts Drive, Honeybear Lane. You approved that last month as well. So we have a total net additional expenditures from all adjustments is an increase of $48,975 in the East DDA fund. So in essence, with this, if you approve this tonight, the resulting net impact of the budget amendment is to increase the projected year-end fund balance by $3,925 compared to the existing budget. And then for the West DDA fund, we want to increase the budget for the current property tax revenue of the $38,000. In the expenditure area for the West DDA fund, we also would like to increase the budget $500 for the contribution to the airport car. And we'd like to increase the budget $475 for the rental of the Lincoln Reception Hall for West DDA's share of that space. And we would like to increase the street road projects budget $120,600 to account for the additional contribution to the general fund for the paved shoulders on the Lincoln Road, Broomfield intersection project south of the bridge. You had approved that earlier this year. And then we also have a budget amendment proposed here for $264,000. This is on the sidewalk and pathway project line item. We have $119,000 for engineering and construction costs on Remus Road. And we have $145,000 in this budget for the sidewalk engineering and construction costs for the sidewalk plan from Lux Funeral Home to the Township Hall. So in the West DDA, we're proposing that we increase the budget a total, for expenditures, a total of $385,575 in the West DDA fund. So if you approve this budget tonight, the resulting net impact of this budget amendment for West DDA is to decrease the projected year-end fund balance by $347,575 compared to the existing original budget. Are there any questions on this request?
So the Lincoln Road, if my math is correct, the Lincoln Road sidewalk was originally budgeted for around $37,000. If you're increasing it 145 and the bid came in at 182, rough numbers.
I think I remember it being 70,000.
70,000 is what we had budgeted for it.
So the,
Difference would have been the engineering
engineering, okay.
and construction, is my guess.
That is correct.
What is the source of the $38,000 property tax revenue that both the east and west are recognizing?
Well, the actual tax capture, we talked about this last month. That's a very good question. The tax capture came in higher than we expected when I estimated the original budget, and that's because Mid-Michigan College, we were able to capture from Mid-Michigan College, and that was a new.
And then they just split it equal. I just wondered if it was
That-
38 for both, that sounded.
That was a
Okay.
new millage.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's the case, that's a coincidence then, 38,000.
Okay.
It's the same. I didn't notice that.
I just wondered why it was
Yeah.
the same amount in each.
And Sherry, this isn't for you to speak to. I guess I just have an issue with the cost of the Lincoln Road sidewalk. Maybe revisit that with some value engineering or something, or because looking at the plans, we're filling in ditches, doing stormwater and different things, probably to keep it within the boundary of the right of way, so the EDA can pay for it. Correct? So we're not. Is that the intention of that? So we stay in the right of way, so the DDA would foot the bill?
Well, it's actually not, I mean, well, there's a yes to that, that yes, it's, by being within the right-of-way, we're also within the West EDA district. The challenge is really that we could not get easements. The original plan had the sidewalk stepping out of the right-of-way in several areas to minimize that engineering cost, but we could not collect the easements for those. And so we had to go back and pursue the project entirely within the right-of-way. So that did require some additional.
So that
drainage work.
includes, like, in front of the township property as well, it's staying within the right of way? I mean, because that would be value engineering there to step out or not? Or
There's no drainage issues in
No.
front of the township parking lot.
Okay.
That's all just flat ground.
But I mean, so if you go south, then you've got the big ditch that, and on the plans, that's getting filled in on township property.
There
within
are
the right of
changes to keep it in the road right away, absolutely,
Okay.
yes. Those were also, the changes are basically were required by the road commission. We had to work within their scope on that. That's a fairly common case. The Remus Road project was similar. We had, fortunately, in the Remus Road project, MDOT had taken care of some of the ditching before we started this project. It just was a coincidence that they happened to do a project through there that took out some of it. But it's simply necessary that we're going to be doing drainage work whenever we're doing sidewalks on roads that were once rural.
It just seems a big jump between budgeted and actual. I mean, it's almost 3 times the cost.
Well, the budget amount of $70,000 was a guesstimate. In that, I'm not even sure how far back it dates. For me, it dates back to 2020. I think it may have even gone further than that. And it's simply been carried forward because we could not get the easement work done to get to the point of actually going out for a contract. So that budget amount did not reflect any engineered cost estimate at the time.
It's been, that same 70,000's been in the budget, I think almost as long as I've worked here.
Gotcha.
Just trying to, we had a place marker, we want to do this. We just didn't have a good estimate.
Right.
And just one question is not, kind of impacts the budget is I guess, do we have some of this extension here that we're talking about? Is some of that gonna be out of the construction, gonna be out of the right of way?
No, as the plan is prepared, it's all within the county road right of way.
Makes the accounting easier.
So, so that the sidewalk's gonna be within feet of the, less than probably 10 feet of the shoulder of the road then? And I guess I didn't look at that close on Lincoln.
Yeah, especially as it gets up closer to the township hall where the road is wider. Yes, it will get closer to the,
I guess that's what gets me is like in our own, we're within the same, now we're in the same building. We can't push it out
well, one of the-
because it's or I don't know.
Yeah, but one thing to keep in mind is that the township is also, this is something that the Board of Trustees took action on at their last meeting. They authorized a feasibility study for the township hall, basically for township hall needs, services, office space. And that study is going to look at several different options, including building a new building. And so if a new building was built, that location to the south of us, that now vacant land, which once had utility buildings on it, could consider to be a good spot for it. We don't want to create something that would impact the ability to use that property. It's really best for the sidewalk to be within the right of way as it comes along that lane. There are also, I believe there are also some utility easements that creates conflict with, where the easements are actually out beyond the right of way. And so, anytime we're working in that, we add another layer of complication. So, this really was the simplest approach.
Not going to be on an island, with all due respect. We complain that it's tough to get easements from private property owners, but we do not get an easement in our own township. With all due respect.
Not sure I follow that, but
Okay.
we'll keep it on the record.
Yep.
Any more comments on this? This action requested, approve budget amendment number 1.
Make a motion that authorization is hereby given to amend the fiscal year 2022 budget for the East and West DDA funds in the respective net amounts of negative $3,925 in the 248 East DDA fund and $347,575 in the 250 West DDA fund.
Have a motion by Zaled,
Support.
support by Fig. Hearing no more questions or comments, we'll call this to a vote. With everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, the same.
Aye.
With one opposition. Motion is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on to agenda item number 8B. Go ahead, Rodney.
All right. Well, you have our request for report action dated the 12th of July. This is for sidewalk project along South Lincoln Road that we're just discussing. It would install new sidewalk on the west side of South Lincoln Road, basically from the Lux Funeral Home north to the Township Hall parking lot, across the upper parking lot of the hall, and at the right up outside here at the lower parking lot. This is a project that, as we discussed, has been in the works for a number of years. As with many of the sidewalk projects in the township, there were challenges with easements. The decision was ultimately made to pursue the project without securing easements, to alter it to fit within the existing right-of-way. This is a project that we had originally intended to bring to you together with the Remus Road project that is currently under construction. But the county, primarily the County Road Commission review process delayed that. So it's coming to you a little later. What we've done in consultation with the project engineers at Rowe that worked on this, we made the determination that it would be best to ask our contractor, the Isabella Corporation, to consider amending their bid to add this project in. Since they're already working Remus Road and have potentially the opportunity to get this project done also during the 2022 construction season. That was the approach we took with this. You have before you the bid, documentation from the Isabella Corporation, and the documentation from our project engineer noting that recommending the bid. It is, as was noted, significantly higher than what was budgeted, but it is consistent with current costs and consistent with what we expected based on the costs for the Remus Road project. I would note that the Board of Trustees, as I note on the second page of our memo, the Board of Trustees has noted the importance of this project. They have authorized our township engineer, in this case now Gordy Frazier. As you know, we're phasing out our work with Rowe. This project on Lincoln Road is the last project Rowe would be working on. Sidewalk projects in the township, we asked Gordy Frazier, which is our engineer for most of our infrastructure projects, to pursue those. The Board of Trustees authorized Gordy Frazier to put together plans for extending the sidewalk further, basically filling in the rest of the frontage along the Township Hall, across the Lincoln Road frontage, and also extending west along Pickard Road and into McDonald Park, and then also taking care of the intersection here at Pickard and Lincoln with the sidewalk ramps on all four corners. That project would, based on the Board of Trustees' decision, would be funded by our general fund, so it would not be, although a portion of it is within the West EDA boundary across the front of the hall here, the Board of Trustees has elected to pursue that through the general fund. So this connection will immediately be followed up by a further connection that brings the sidewalk around into McDonald Park. So with that in mind, you have, as you said, you have the documentation in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions, but this recommending that we go ahead and pursue this additional work with amendment to the authorization that you provided to the Isabella Corporation to add this in.
Rodney, is that going to be at the same time the additional intersection and west of the Lincoln Road on Pickard? Will that be done later?
So the additional project that the Board of Trustees is working on is right now at the beginning of the design phase. They're actually waiting, we're about to have our parking lot redone in early August. They're going to mill it and repave. And when they do that, they're going to be taking off about 13 feet of the pavement out towards Lincoln Road, and be bringing the sidewalk in, or bringing the parking lot further away from the road. That's done partly because the parking lot is far wider than it needs to be. And there have been problems in the past with vehicles that have come off of the road, so provide a little better separation, but it's also to provide space for a sidewalk. So the design work will get underway in earnest once the parking lot has been, the parking lot project has been completed. They'll come out with do survey work, and then do this design. There is a hope, and I would put it in that term, hope, that the project could be completed this year. But we are getting already, unfortunately, very closer to the end of the season than the beginning. So my expectation is that this would probably be a 2023 construction project to do the rest of the sidewalks.
But the other one looks like it could be done based on what we do maybe this year.
That's what I understand, is that Isabel Corporation has indicated that their intent is to pursue that this year. Once we get it approved, we'll be working with them to get that underway. That is the intent.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Questions or comments?
So this sidewalk stops right here at this driveway, then it doesn't go to the corner.
It does not go to the corner. It ends at what I think the
This,
plan first is the north.
the
drive.
north drive.
Yeah. And largely that is because of the existing parking lot. At the time this project was envisioned, there was no plan to update the parking lot. Parking lot was literally in the way of any sidewalk work. And so we ended it at that point from a design perspective.
How will we handle this separate parking lot? Is that gonna be moved as well so that the sidewalk would be?
No, there's actually plenty of room there.
There's plenty of room.
That parking lot is set further away from.
Okay. Good. So that'll stay the same as it is, that parking lot?
That's correct.
That was a nice addition, that landscaping that you did on the side. I think that was important.
Well, thank you. I'll pass that on. That should come on to Kim Smith, the Public Services Director. She
Yeah, it looks good.
coordinated that. I agree. It's an excellent addition.
Yeah,
Construct curb.
nice improvement for that.
Guys
Can I
had a
make a
couple-
motion?
Okay.
I move that to approve the amendment to the authorization for the Remus Road Sidewalk Project, to also authorize Isabella Corporation to perform all work as specified in the construction plans for the South Lincoln Road Sidewalk Project, to construct concrete sidewalks and ramps along the west side of South Lincoln Road from the Lux Funeral Home north to the Township Hall North parking lot for an additional bid amount of $182,010.50.
Support.
Got a motion by Fig, support by Coin. Hearing no more comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same.
Aye.
Abstain.
Got one abstention, one nay. Opposed vote. With the majority voting for it, motion is approved. Thank you. on to item 8C.
Okay, this request for board action, EDA board action, is a request to remove authorized signer James Allen from the East DDA bank accounts with Isabella Bank and the West DDA bank accounts with Isabella Community Credit Union. A little bit of background information on this request. The EDA currently has 3 authorized check signers for the East and West DDA bank credit union accounts. The authorized signers are currently the township treasurer, the township manager, and James Allen. At some point, it seems that James Allen was appointed the EDA treasurer, but the current administration cannot find written records for that. And also in 2021, the EDA board adopted new bylaws in which the only officers listed are the chair and vice chair. There was no mention of a treasurer for the board. So I contacted Isabella Bank and Isabella Community Credit Union just to find out what is required from the township to allow removal of a check signer. And they are asking for an official action from this board to do so. And if you're looking at your request for board action, you can see that I've listed out here the accounts for the East DDA and West DDA that are affected by this request. And, we just feel that 3 signers are not really necessary, that 2 signers are adequate, and so we're just asking that the township treasurer and the township manager be the authorized signers for the EDA bank accounts. Are there any questions on this request?
I can see it, but it just seems a little odd not to have like the chair or the vice chair on those, since it's the East and West checking account. You know what I mean? To our paid staff. Because I'm just envisioning in the future, let's say we're issuing bonds again and working with banks, and then, I mean, just a little history on us. There was a time we couldn't get signers. So that's when we actually switched, because it was exclusively the DDA and the West DDA board members that were the check signers. The township employees were not on there. So that was quite a conversation to amend our operating rules to put them on. So now we're like taking a full step, and there's none of us even on the check account anymore, just so everybody's aware of that. And it's strictly the township staff, so just want you guys to be aware of that. But it'll work. I mean, it's been working, so.
What is the need for removal? Why would just accountability?
Yeah, we just
I
feel like,
was on there because before the EDA was formed, I was the West DDA treasurer. And as such, that's why I'm on there. That's why I am on the record. It wasn't like I snuck in someday, talked to somebody at the bank, hey, can you get me on this account? So.
The accounts were just ongoing.
Well, we had to have new accounts when we formed the EDA, because now they're still separated, but they're still, now it's under the EDA, I don't think there's any West and East.
The checking accounts are still separate.
Yeah, the checking accounts are still separate, but I think and it may have been because I was the treasurer, but we had a vote. I mean, we had officers, secretary, and treasurers for a long time, so I'm a little surprised that there's quote-unquote no, because there hadn't been meeting minutes that, for the elections, but it doesn't make any difference. The bylaws are changed. Treasurer no longer exists, so because of that, there's no reason for me to be on there at all. I agree with Tom's question, but that's something that's involved from
history.
Back in the
Back-
day,
That's
we
just-
were
Back in the
pretty
day,
well
we had a
autonomous.
secretary, we
And-
had, I mean,
Nah,
a sergeant at arms, we
Yeah.
had everything.
Yeah, so, no, I'll make the motion that, you want all the bank accounts and everything too, Rodney?
It's up to you.
Or can I just
I
read
think-
it?
Just want to
You
read
don't
that.
have to list out specifically all
Okay.
the accounts, I don't think, it's
Make
just
it,
there.
make a motion to give authorization is hereby given to remove James Zalad as an authorized signer on the East DDA bank accounts with Isabella Bank and the West DDA bank accounts with Isabella Community Credit Union.
Support.
We still have to approve everything anyway, right? So
Yeah.
it's,
Yep. So we got a motion by Zalad. Who supported that?
Sweet.
Any more comments on this? Hearing no more comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 9, pending business.
Uh-oh, he's headed to the podium.
Go ahead, Rodney.
No pending business today, but
No,
something we do.
director's got.
No, director.
just give a few comments. You may have seen the article that was in the Morning Sun about a grant program. And we have had some interest. So far, no formal applications, but we've had a few people contacting us and asking about it. If there are, I think there were some comments before, I don't recall from who, that there was a couple of businesses you might have had interest in inviting them to participate. Was that?
Yeah, the VFW.
Okay, that's right.
Mhm.
Okay.
I've tried to get the ball rolling there.
Okay. I will make sure that we get a copy of that to them. Thank you. For some reason, I didn't have a note on it, so I appreciate the reminder.
I took one from our packets, but it was two-sided, not the official one. I don't know if you changed. I think it was the one we was running with, but I dropped them.
Yeah, that one will work.
They obviously work by committee and are awful slow.
Okay. Well, certainly as things progress, I suspect you will be seeing some requests. Like I said, there is certainly some interest in those programs. Another item, July 14th, the Road Commission did approve a bid for the Lincoln Road and Broomfield Road construction project. That was granted to McGurk Sand and Gravel. They are in the process of figuring out how to get all that done. They have run into some problems with some of the utilities there. Particularly, there's a Wolverine pipeline that runs through there that apparently needs some relocation.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly, that was my thought. As soon as I didn't realize there was, Wolverine was running through there, but
Oh, yeah.
I worked with them elsewhere, and yeah, they're interesting to work with.
Yeah.
But anyway, that process is moving forward. At least there is an approved bid.
And that came over engineer's estimate, correct? And where's the difference coming from? Is the county putting up money, or we're gonna have to be asked for more money, or is that, do you know that? or no?
There's not been any direction of coming back to the township. I would be surprised if they did.
Okay.
But yes, as I understand, it was about 25% over the engineer's estimate. Other items,
Can I backtrack on that just for a second? When you're talking about Wolverine and relocating the pipe and the difficulty involved, and is there any changes that were made in the original plans? Because that was a lot more elaborate intersection than it's turned out to be, as far as not having a light, and if and when there's going to be an improvement again to that intersection, would that be something that should be considered if Wolverine does move their pipeline?
Now, unfortunately, I don't know the details of why it needs to be moved, because with the reduced scope, it certainly should have made it easier to work within what they had. Largely, we're working within, not all existing rights of way, but certainly a reduced scope.
Right.
For the smaller improvements. So I don't know the answer to why it needs to be moved. My understanding though is that at this point, that this is the project. There's not a plan to come back in a few years and rebuild this again. From that perspective, I don't think there'll be a.
So the foreseeable future, this is the intersection.
Right. So the other road project we have is East Victor Road, M20. Continue to meet with the representatives from MDOT. They are edging ever closer to finalizing their plans. As they have done that, and as we've been meeting, I'm finding that more and more of our irrigation system is falling into their space, as was kind of expected, as we talked about, possible. The project, I don't recall if I mentioned this last month, but the elimination of the roundabouts also altered the timing of the project. They're now planning to complete all of the rebuilding of M20 within the township in 2023. Then in 2024, they basically take care of the portion in the city, which pretty much be the portion in front of the Meyer store over Division Road. So the large part of the project, a significant portion of it, will be completed in 2023. That tends to expand what the amount of impact they have on our systems. They will be removing all of the streetlights on the north side of the road from end to end and storing those. They will destroy all of our irrigation system on that side of the road. On the south side of the road, it's now looking like they're coming in, let's call it about 40% of the way into that margin. It varies. There's some areas where they will be impacting the entire south side margin between the sidewalk and the street. They will not be removing, I'm sorry, the north side, they will be removing the sidewalks as well on the north side. And likely impacting some of the trees more than they originally intended on the north side. That's, as they've been doing engineering work and grading, they've been finding that they're going to be impacting more than intended initially. So we're going to see pretty much a complete rebuild on the north side of the road. There on the south side, as I said, about 40%. Some areas coming in 100%. Basically, at any street intersection, they're adding additional stormwater facilities, underground stormwater, so they're cutting across that street margin for that. And so to a large extent, we're expecting that we will not have any irrigation system in the ground when they're done. Our contractor is going to be removing equipment that can be reused at the end of the season. And our expectation there will not be anything there when they're done. It will be rebuilding from scratch through there. MDOT is going to put in paired 4-inch PVC pipe. I don't think it's actually PVC, but it's whatever construction grade for going under driveways. But and that matches what's actually in the ground right now. That will be put back under each driveway, under each street, and capped, extend out so many feet beyond the pavement, and capped so that our contractor can use that to run conduit. They also will be putting such a conduit in each of our streetlight bases and the foundations that they're going to be reinstalling to allow for our irrigation system to connect up into our streetlights. So that will all be prepped. They will not do the irrigation work, but they are going to prep those elements for us. They are doing all the repair work, reinstallation work for the streetlights. So that they will entirely reinstall. So that's where we are at this point. As I said, we will salvage all that we can at the end of the season, and then continue to work with MDOT on how best coordinate the work afterwards. The expectation at this point was that we're not going to be able to access those margins until their contractor is completely done. So we'll be essentially going back afterwards and doing our part. But continue to work with them on that.
Rodney, are they gonna, they'll still have traffic though? That if you're working on one side, you'll still have traffic going down.
That, yes, yeah. So
A
that's,
little narrower.
yeah, that's actually the reason why they're impacting the north side so significantly. They are adding a construction lane, a temporary lane on the north side. And that's why they're taking out everything on the north side, is because they have to regrade it and provide a temporary lane on that side. So that throughout the process, there will be 3 lanes of traffic through there, one each direction and a turn. That will be maintained throughout the project scope.
Are they going to replace our trees they take out?
They did say that they would provide trees. Essentially, I think their intent is to provide us with some money that we can use to purchase trees if we choose to.
And completion is in 2023
For the township.
for the
portion,
township
yes.
portion.
That
That's
is-
all I
that's their
figured,
intent.
for the township portion. Okay, I'll tell the VFW to wait a year on their sign anyways.
Yeah. So I guess I had one additional comment on that. The thoughts escaping me. I had it. Senior moment. If I had something and it's gone. If I remember, I'll tell you. But it was not as important now, which is.
The roundabouts are happening in 23, or they're going out, they're extended out 25, 26 or something.
Thank you.
correct?
Yeah. The roundabouts fell out of the project. They, at this point, anticipated for 2026. MDOT is coming back in 2026 to extend the divided portion, the boulevard portion, further west in front of the casino. Right now, it ends partway along. I think they're intending to bring it closer to Somerton Road. And so they basically said, we'll add the roundabouts into that project scope. There was some discussion about a roundabout at Somerton. Not that it's required or mandated in any way, but this was a safety element that was discussed to slow down traffic, to kind of give a cue that there's a difference. For the casino, the speed limit's still 55, it drops to 45 near the interchange, and the 35 in the city. And one of the safety recommendations was to consider a roundabout in Somerton that would basically slow down traffic, so at that point forward, it would be no longer at highway speed. Whether that happens or not is a whole other question. Without the warrants for that, I suspect that's going to be a tough sell. But nonetheless, at this point, the roundabouts, they will be coming, but not for a few more years. That's all I have for you at this point.
All right.
Thanks,
The house on Yacht Street,
Yes.
a tax auction sign just popped up in front of it in the last couple of weeks, but that's not really up for auction, is it?
It is not. No, we have closed on that.
Let's just for optics get that down because it looks terrible to.
And I thank you. I sent an email to the treasurer's office about that. I believe that the auction's handled by a different entity.
Yeah.
And so I think they just were going on
Yeah,
the
but
list.
it's not really up for auction.
It
Let's
is
just
not
get rid
up
of
for
that
auction.
sign that
Sign will
says
come
it
down.
should.
Yeah, the treasurer still has a lock on the door too, a padlock.
Okay.
So we're working on getting that changed. So we'll
Yeah, you
have
can
a
climb
lock.
through any window.
Yep.
Has the demo gone out for bid?
Actually, I was talking today with asbestos removal contractor, Midstate Asbestos Removal, which is the company that worked on our project on East Pickard Road. I've asked them to submit a cost proposal to do the asbestos survey work that we need before we can actually put out a request for bids on the demolition. So I'm actually expecting to see a cost estimate from them tomorrow.
So on item 11, you have these informational meetings. Would you July 26th. Is that something we need a quorum for?
We do need a quorum. We need at least 5 members because our first informational meeting is next Tuesday at 4:30, right here. I am expecting, the primary audience for these informational meetings is our other taxing jurisdictions. So at this point, it's the township, the general fund, and then it's also the Isabella County, and as was mentioned earlier, Mid-Michigan College is our new addition to that. And so each of those entities have been invited to participate. We've also shared with them a copy of the annual report that you saw last month and is posted on our website. I've already been told that Nicole Frost, our county administrator, is planning to attend. She's attended previous informational meetings. So we will need at least 5 members present for that. I don't expect the meeting to be longer than half an hour. I think previous times it's been less than 15 minutes. But we will need at least 5 members present to hold that meeting.
Make a note.
Anything else?
I have one item.
Go ahead.
Since we've expended a fair amount of money to fix up Jamison Hall, I wonder if it'd be appropriate to schedule sometime in the future, not next one, but maybe have a board meeting out there just to showcase the improvements. I haven't been out there yet, but I hear improvements are very nice and really appreciated by the area, so just a food for thought. I know we've had meetings out there in the past just to showcase need for improvement, so and maybe now it's time to finish the loop.
That is a wonderful suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good
How
idea.
close are those improvements to complete?
They're done.
They're done.
As far as I know. There might be some peripheral stuff out there, but I think the building components, I think are all done.
Yeah, building components done. I believe most of the, or if not all, the exterior improvements were done. They were hanging a sign just not too long ago, which was, I think, one of the last steps that they needed to take. So,
Parking lot looked good.
Hearing no more comments, I think we can call the meeting adjourned. 5:34. Thank you.
Thank you.